So, guys, welcome back to Economicstaan. We are back with yet another podcast with you for you, and we are bringing this thing for you guys to make sure that we are following the sync process of having every update to you. And this time we have brought a very different topic. This is not an economy update, or this is not a something that is very pertinent to a particular decision. But this time it is a topic that brings about some sort of discussion in the minds of people at the same time, it is also a topic that will definitely enlighten a lot of thoughts in your minds, and we will try to make sure that you have some sort of content to discuss on, right? So, without having a lot more on the discussion on the introduction part, I'll definitely dive into the topic so that you get to know a lot more about the topic. So we have with us the panelist, and that is Manish with us. So Manish, it is great to have you back again, and it's such a privilege that you always take time and come with us. So please, Manish, give a brief intro, then we'll switch back to the topic.
Yeah, hi. I think you must be knowing me from the past two podcasts, and we I've been associated with Economistan for quite some time, and I think Riansh, under his leadership, has tried to uh, bring in a lot of insightful articles and his views on different economics related subjects through the Economistan website. Um, and overall, the experiences with Economistan is very fruitful and insightful. And I think it will be continuing to be the same along with many others in the future as well. So, and these in live podcasts with Rianj has also been a very insightful and a learning experience for me. And being an economics student myself, I think these discussions should be encouraged among students and also the professionals as well. So, yeah, I hope this podcast will also bring a lot more insights to the economic events that happen on a daily basis. Yeah, over to you, Ranj.
Yeah, thank you so much, Manish, for your kind words and for the appreciation as well. We definitely try to bring out the best content for you guys, and we'll try to make sure that you guys have the content that brings out some sort of discussion amongst you. So, the topic that we have in hand is what is the perception of the audience, or in fact, just the general economic opinion on the appointment of the new governor, that is Sanjay Malhotra, the RBI governor, and how he is going to operate and what are the differences in the policy making and all those things. So we'll be covering up several topics under this particular topic. We'll covering up some certain subtopics under this main topic, and they will definitely try to highlight on the pointers that will definitely give you the pointers that will help you to understand this particular matter. So Manish, I guess the very first thing that comes in our mind when we talk about a new governor, right? So, like, what is your opinion on the appointment of the new governor, Sanjay?
Riansh, according to me, I think the new governor definitely has a lot of challenges. Like what our previous governor did face, Shaktikant Das ji, who actually did a phenomenal job for the past 6 years. The new governor also has a lot of challenges in his hands. And I think the one important aspect that we have to look into is how he's going to control inflation because keeping the inflation rate at the 4% target has been a challenge since the pandemic. And it's been a very difficult task for the previous governor as well to bring it to the target range. And currently, we are seeing a spike of inflation between 5.2 to 6%, which is relatively high, and it does affect our food prices and also our pulses and our regular needs as well. So I think the first priority issue that needs to be um, tackled is basically the inflation aspect. The second aspect would be more in line with stabilizing the rupee, basically our currency, basically to involve a lot of global demand for our US dollar. I mean, so basically what is happening is our rupees kind of reached the all-time low in terms of due to high global demand of dollar and also high foreign outflows because of the fluctuating rupee value. And is kind of this is kind of destabilizing the whole issue of how our exports and imports look at on a national level. So I think stabilizing the rupee would be one of the important aspects because that will actually channelize where our exports should be and where our imports should channelize in. So I think it's going to be a challenge on that front as well. And also, uh, you know how the global issues are panning out in the last couple of years. So if you look at the wars that we had, um, yeah, I mean, I don't need to name because it's pretty much all over the news. So those are actually affecting our supply and demand side of our domestic and international demand as well. So this will also take a toll on our financial system as well in terms of how we would be demanding financial services or how we would tackle our progress in terms of developing our infrastructure, our um, different growth projects, and so on. So I think he'll have to, I mean, Malhotra ji would have to look into that in a greater detail. And another important issue would be dealing with balancing the inflation and the growth aspect. So, I mean, we all know that healthy inflation is essential for growth of a nation. And if you have an uneven inflationary trend, it will actually deteriorate the trajectory of growth that we are having. So I think that fine tuning, I mean, the fine thin balance that we'll have to reach at is, I think, one of the important uh, target that I think the new governor will have to tackle in. I think that's more important for now. And recently, if you look at the trends of investments, we do see a growth in the cryptocurrency as well. The trading in cryptocurrency and the different financial instruments that have been coming since, I think, way before the pandemic, and it's been going strong since the pandemic. I think the laws for that is not yet strong, and I think the regulatory framework has to be developed in that front as well in more greater detail so as to avoid any financial irregularities and so on. I think that could be one of the priorities that the RBI governor could look into to maintain a status quo of things that we have in our system. So yeah, I think these are the challenges probably would deal with. I mean, probably would be important that the RBI governor would have to look into in greater detail, and probably we'll have to see that for the next this full term office to see how all these issues are being tackled. So yeah, I think that
Exactly,
is it.
Manish. Yeah, Suman is very rightly put up. So basically, I would like to add a few things. Uh, there are certain challenges that are about to there are certain challenges that are about to come for the new governor, right? And this renewal of Saptikant Dasji was somewhere predictable by many, but when this decision came up to replace him, it was a bit of a shock for a bit of or for some of the individuals in the nation. So, like this might have been a scenario. This might have been a strategy for the for our government that to he might Sanjay ji might be the better person to deal with the situation. So the current situation what we have right now is that as you rightly mentioned that inflation is going way too much, and we can clearly see that the impact of inflation is like primarily on the consumer side as of now. Like the supply side is almost as of now is not that much affected, but yes, the consumer side is way too much affected. And there has been so much of news and there's so much of buzz around the middle middle class people in the nation, right? So like this could be a scenario for him, although these things doesn't concern the RBI governor, but yeah, he has to make the policy. He had to make the policy changes in line with the government, like Union government's policies, right? So this thing is somewhere very much, not that much apt for, in my opinion, that because if Saktikanta Das was dealing with it in a very nice way, like he should have been given a chance. First, second thing would be like Sanjay ji is going to be a very good, he's a very good person in terms of economic side, right? He has already worked on a lot of projects, big projects. So the thing is he going to be the key to success? Like, is he going to avoid the somehow in like evident recession that is going to come up? We all know that a recession is around the corner. We somehow dodged it in 2024. Like almost we touched it was a touch and go situation in 2024. But I guess it is somehow evident in the 2025 like year. This time it is predictable. And also, Manish, I would like to point out one more thing on this. Like we are clearly seeing a lot of changes in the stock market due to the US Fed decisions, right? We yeah, like we yesterday and today also has a lot of market falls. Like that is on dated on 18th and like 17th and 18th of November we had in December we have a lot of movement in the stock market. It was going so haywire. It was falling a lot. It was going up. It was having some corrections, but all in all, it showed a negative trend in the entire in the entire activity of the 2 days of time.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Also, so with the BRICS agreement in place, with the trade transactions to be done in the rupee currency or particular currency that is going to be adopted by the BRICS people. This led to a sort of sanctions by the US. Some sort of things have come up, right? So, what do you think that these challenges that are going to pile up, like, when we count these challenges, they might sound like an economic problem, but these economic problems, when dissected, are way too much. It's not just a single thing. There are multiple number of things that are associated with this problem, right? So, do you think what could be the approach of Sanjay ji in this current scenario? And what being an economist, you or like being a person of it from the economics point of view, like what could be your way to action that you would like him to take up, right? In this sort of situations, like there is inflation, there is job losses, there are so much of jobs being cut down. So many like different industries are showing a slowdown in the growth. There are so much of you can say inflation is going way too high. Also, we have a big threat of like international trade relations being chalked off by certain countries. So, do you think like what could be the possible course of action that Sanjay ji could take that could be adopted and accepted by a lot of individuals?
Okay, Riyansh, frankly, it's a lot of questions that we'll have to address. So, first thing first, uh, I think the way forward for the governor, central bank governor, to function is basically function as an independent body, not taking side of what the government needs to, what the government wants. So, it will be I mean, what I would probably look into is probably to see how far the decisions are unilateral, basically stating that how strong or how independent the RBI is functioning in the coming term of the new governor. Because if the central government is kind of interfering with the functioning of the RBI, it doesn't hold. I mean, it doesn't hold well for the RBI as an body to function as an independent framework. So I think what the governor should probably look into is make sure that the RBI as a body should function in a um, as a single body, which will actually help in framing better policies to tackle the different issues that we have. Like, for example, we have inflation, we have the sanctions, the tariffs, like you rightly pointed out from the United States. All this, I think, would be like clearly studied, I mean, should be clearly studied by the RBI members as well as the governor to come up with clear-cut plans on how we can tackle them. Going to the second question, whether a recession is kind of dodged. I mean, frankly, I think, I mean, in a way, yes, because as per the recent World Bank report that I recently read, we have dodged the recession by 15%. So frankly, it's like 15% chances of recession kicking in by 2025. So, I mean, it's a long shot. We don't know how bad or how good the recession is going to be because where all the economies across the globe is definitely facing a slowdown, and we have the issue of recession kind of creeping up and down the process because we have seen in our own country how the inflation is kind of um, making way towards the target and then spiking up due to different issues that we have, like maybe supply shocks from the uh, UAE or from Ukraine or from the tariff shocks that we have from the US, which is actually affecting our stock market, like you rightly pointed out in the recent times. So I think all these would be needed to look at in a holistic perspective because 2025 is really going to be challenging, at least for the first half of 2025, at least till Q2. But post that, I think the situation for the entire globe should come back to normalcy. We can anticipate much more investments and more unilateral and multilateral decisions being signed by different countries, not only with India, with also other countries as well. Because in United States itself, we can see many firms walking out of US because of the tariff barriers that they have. And I think India is also in the tariff zone because there were news that were coming in terms of if the if India were to charge more tariffs, US would do the same in terms of their in India's exports. So it would be a no-win situation for both the nations. So I think either of the parties should come to a middle ground in terms of encouraging more trade with US and also improve the relations as well, both politically and economically. Um, yeah, I think it should be more of a win-win situation for all because like coming up with tariffs, I think it has already eaten a lot of a huge chunk of major economies. Like for example, I think uh, Canada is also kind of being troubled because of the tariff. I think I'm just stating as an example because they do have a problem of they had a problem of inflation for the last couple of months, but recently they have achieved. I mean, they've kind of won the situation of keeping their inflation in target. But now the problem of the tariffs have come in, crept in. So the way forward is more tricky for them because they don't want to go into disinflation, which will actually cause a lot of unemployment as well as other ripple effect of it. So we'll have to see how they do the same, like how they tackle in the coming months. And for our country, I think US has always been a big brother in terms of trade and also in terms of all the decisions that we take in terms of maybe in terms of trade, in terms of our um uh, what do you say, central bank decisions, maybe slightly dependent on the US Fed, but in a way we kind of tweak it to make it make we kind of tweak it in such a way that it meets our criteria, and maybe in terms of how we can tackle our inflation, how we can tackle our employment situation, and so on. So, yeah, I think it should be more of a mutual understanding kind of a scenario going forward. Otherwise, I think the situation otherwise is not looking really good for us, to be honest, Yash. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, Manish. So that's what I also feel. It's in a way, it has become a situation over the global scenario that India has become somehow have become a superpower in terms of trade as well as in terms of when you look at an economy from the global perspective because we have been influential in so many decision making around the globe. But that particular behavior of the nation has somehow impacted the nation as well. And we can see a further more, derailment in this particular situation. There might be certain set of uh, s- disadvantages that might be coming our way due to this sort of initiatives or any decision making processes. So yeah, Manish, I also believe that we have lost a certain amount of FIIs or even FDIs in India, but they have started to come back. So we have saw some, like, we are somehow seeing a surge in the in terms of the, like, FDIs. They have started to come back to India. Like, I recently read one news that it was approximately more than 10,000 crores are being reinvested in by the FIIs. They did withdraw, but yeah, they are coming back. So it's like a double-edged sword for our nation as of now. It's about how we take the decisions, how we make the economic policies, how we frame everything, so that the FIIs are coming in, the FDIs are coming in, the other nations, the global nations are coming to good terms with our country. But yeah, this is a double-edged sword, as I rightly said, that this is a double-edged sword, and this could impact the entire nation, as well as it can also be a such and go scenario, just like the recession we won in the last year, like in 2024. So, Manish, I believe that the first few quarters of the coming year, like at least even this last quarter of 2024-25, is going to a very tough one for Sanjay ji. And even as you pointed out, the Q1, Q2 of like 2025 will going definitely impact it. But I believe that there is a cut that is coming up. There is definitely a cut that is going to coming up very soon, because we need to be coming on terms with the recession, like the inflation thing. We need to be coming up because recession is just around the corner. And in my opinion, I believe this year we are not going to escape recession this time. So yeah, being a citizen of India, I would definitely want not to come, like, not to have recession in the country. But yeah, this is sort of situation that we are somehow being forced into. So yeah, one last thing, Manish, we'll try to keep it short, because we are not much aware of his policy making as of now. But yeah, we'll definitely try to put forward an opinion on our, from our point of view, that what is appropriate for our nation and what is going to benefit the nation. So what do you think, Manish, are going to the possible, say for example, first 2 to 3 quarters, like including the last Q4 of the 21, 24 and 25, and the first Q1 and Q2 of 25 and 26. So, what do you think going to be the rate cuts or even the rate hikes in the CRI and the repo rate thing?
Uh, Frankly speaking, Ryansh, I feel that inflation targeting would be one, and that would probably we'll have to keep it in target at the 4% target, considering we have a lot to deal with in terms of, say, keeping the food prices in check and keeping all the other important elements of inflation in check, be it inflation in terms of housing prices, be it in terms of fuel rise in fuel prices as well. So, so basically, what we need to try to do is kind of maintain a balance in terms of keeping the headline inflation in check and also keeping in the core inflation also in check. I think that would be the most important aspect. Uh, Coming to rate cuts, I think we can anticipate a cut in February, keeping, I mean, there would be certain criteria to it. Probably we'll have to wait and watch on how we fare in terms of how we did perform in terms of this month, basically December as well as January. So we'll have to cater to these two data points from these 2 months on how we fared in terms of inflation and all other economic parameters before plunging into the decision of whether we are going for a cut or not. And it is most likely the scene that there would be at least some people who would be looking at no rate cut in Feb, because we cannot anticipate how good or how bad the inflation is going to come to target by Feb. Because considering there are multiple factors to it. For one simple factor that we can look into is the kind of weather system that we had for this year. We had erratic rainfall, we had a lot of crop failure, we had seen the spike in prices of basic essential crops. Basically, if you look at potatoes and tomatoes, you have seen the price trend. Like for example, it has started at a modest 40 to 50 rupees range, and then all the way it's crept up to almost 100 bucks. I mean, I mean, you get the drift. So basically, we'll have to see how that kind of comes into the picture when we reach the month of Feb, and how um, the RBI governor would look into and kind of go in for a cut, because I think a cut is basically very essential for our Indian economy, because it's kind of better to go in for a cut, considering we have an unemployment situation going on I mean, slightly creeping up in our country, and also a slight fall in investments in terms of different sectors, basically the service sectors, in terms of um, other important sectors like manufacturing to an extent, and probably the tech sectors as well, because we see a lot of layoffs that has been happening since Jan of this year. So maybe a growth revival is much needed. Maybe a cut would kind of signal the investors to come in more in terms of investments. In a way, it would probably help in terms of uh, gaining more traction in terms of more foreign inflows, and encouraging business houses to kind of get into production of better products, giving quality products, and also encouraging uh, more people to get into the workforce, because I think that was the only way we can kind of get back into the growth trajectory for next year. Uh, but yeah, times are very uncertain, Riansh. But yeah, I'm at least optimistic, at least by after the Feb rate cut. I think things should kind of fall back in place. Yeah, but to be honest, I think the second half of 2025 would we'll get to see a better picture in the second half of 2025, in terms of better opportunities being presented to the people, in terms of better job opportunities and um, growth prospects as well for the nation. So yeah, I mean, I'm slightly optimistic, but we'll have to wait and watch what holds good for our country. Yeah, over to you, Riyaz.
Yeah, Manish. So I guess it was a lot that we did come up with, because and that's also the situation of our economy right now. Like we have a lot to deal with, and I somehow expected a rate cut one is this time around. Like we also had this conversation way back in November, I guess, that we had a conversation that a rate cut should have been there in December only. But yeah, that's the thing that we couldn't see that much of changes coming up, and also we should definitely have a rate cut we should have a rate cut in the month of in February, or we should not be surprised if it's there in January as well, right? So it's a difficult scenario that we have found ourselves in, and we'll definitely try to bring you guys with the update on that particular thing. And this CRR cut was this wasn't expected on some lines, but yeah, this has come up, and let's see what it is going to do with our economy, and we'll definitely keep you guys updated. That's why we have brought this topic, because a lot of guys had trouble understanding the situation, like why a change at this point of time, why he wasn't renewed. So a lot of things was happening, so we somehow brought forward those things for you guys, and I believe that some of your doubts or some of your irregularities in terms of understanding the change in the RBI governor position was somehow gets clear, right? It somehow gets clear in your mind. So, Manish, thank you so much for being with us, and we have had a great, fruitful conversation. We had a very good sort of discussion on the topic, and definitely we'd love to have you again. And guys, there's also one news. I'd also like to give this news to you guys that since the year is about to end in terms of the calendar year, We are about to end the 2024 year. So we will be having a year-end thing. We will be having a year-end discussion, or you can say that a year-end sort of analysis of our work in the entire year of 2024. We would like you guys to join in, like whosoever is our viewer, is our listener, whoever wants to, whoever wants to come in and give in a sort of, inputs in terms of like how they figured out, like how we did well in, or we don't, where we lagged, what are the things that you expected from us, so that why I'm asking you guys to join in is just to for the fact that it will help us to grow. It will help us to bring that sort of content that is required by you guys, because for this particular section for YouTube, we try to bring that sort of content that is the most desired one for you guys. It's not just the research material, it's not just the technicalities, it's not just the hardcore economic solutions or like Q&A. We give a very open-ended discussion. We give a very open-ended input to the topics that we are coming up with, right? So it was nice having you guys. Like we will definitely love to see your opinions in the comment section. And thank you so much for being with us. And thank you so much for following us. Thank you so much for supporting us in every way possible. Please also share this video with your loved ones, as well as to those who might be interested to know the economic situation, because nowadays it's these small things are impacting your small decisions like FDs, SIPs, mutual fund shares, whatever is there, because investments are a key part of our life now, and you should stay yourself updated with the economic happenings in the nation. So thank you so much, guys. With this, we will sign off this podcast, and we'll definitely looking forward to another one with you guys. Thank you so much, guys. It was lovely talking to you guys. This is Zayan signing off from Economicstaan. Let's see you guys in the next one.